This is like no storm in the record books. We are concerned about reports of people deciding to stay in areas under mandatory evacuation orders. This is a mistake. This is not hype. This is not hyperbole. And I am not kidding. I cannot overstate the danger of this storm. Central and North Florida have never been hit by a hurricane this strong. If you live in a Florida evacuation zone, you need to head for a safe spot now. Do not assume you can survive if you choose to stay. There will be overwhelming damage and likely a heartbreaking loss of life.
The 2024 Atlantic hurricane season could potentially be one of the most activest hurricane seasons on record, and here's why. One of the reasons as to why we're saying that this season could be a very active season is because right now we're in an El Nino phase, and this El Nino phase should break and we should move into a La Nina by the time early July. As a matter of fact, most models are pointing towards the sea surface temperatures significantly cooling in the Central Pacific, while the sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic will be rising at a rapid pace. As of now, the sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic are very warm despite it being an El Nino. And as we get into the months that are expected to become more warmer, the sea surface temperatures are going to rise with that. This is not only something that's really bad for the hurricane season, guys, but it's something bad for the coral reef. Remember, when we have very warm sea surface temperatures, that damages the coral. So, what's happening right now is not something that we would ideally want for, the upcoming hurricane season and also the coral reefs. You know, Not only that, guys, but we're looking at the wind shear. The wind shear will be significantly low across the main development region in the Atlantic, moving into the Caribbean, and that will contribute to this season being a very active season. Not only that we're looking at, guys, but here is the concept model, and this is showing that there could be above average precipitation anomalies throughout the Caribbean and the Eastern Atlantic. And that is something that's very concerning, guys, because what this is telling me that the tropical waves that's moving off the coast of Africa will be moving towards the Caribbean, and that will cause the storms to develop and become absolute monsters before they enter the Western Caribbean, because you do notice that in the areas of the Central Caribbean there is an abundant amount of moisture, and what that is pointing towards is that whatever tropical wave moves off the coast of Africa will be directing into the Central Caribbean, and that will be an area that will be extremely favorable this season. If you can remember in the past videos I did, last year, I did mention that this hurricane season will not be as last year's hurricane season was, because it will be a La Nina instead of an El Nino. All of that is pointing towards this season being a very active season. Those in the Caribbean, those in the Gulf of Mexico, you need to pay attention and listen to your forecast. Start getting updated and staying tuned with your forecasters. As you know, I'm just here to bring the information towards you guys and tell you that this season will most likely be a very active season. Regardless of all of that, guys, remember it's still early, but what I'm saying is that right now the signals that we're seeing is very concerning. It's clear that storms will not be moving out towards sea. Remember last year, a lot of storms moved out to sea, and we've dodged a lot of bullets. That may not be the case this year. It looks like there might be a dominant high pressure over towards the north, and all of that precipitation that's coming into the Caribbean is waves that are going to be steered by that strong high pressure place towards the north, and those waves will be steered towards the Caribbean and areas of the Gulf of Mexico. I'm not exaggerating, that's what the models are showing. And of course, the models could be wrong, but last year the models weren't wrong at all. As a matter of fact, the models nailed their forecast into showing that there would be storms moving out to sea. But that's not the case this year. The models, I really hope this is wrong, but the models are showing the storms moving into the Caribbean and dropping a lot of rainfall, which means that the storms could be strong and there will not be much weak storms that are going to be moving into that area. The Caribbean will be a hotspot for significant tropical development this year, and although the tropical waves may move across the Atlantic weak and really undeveloped, when they get into the Caribbean, guys, this could be an area where they could significantly develop. And those areas, Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula, Honduras, you need to be looking at this because these areas are going to be the areas that could be targeted this year. And of course, the storms could move into the Gulf of Mexico, which may be another hot spot. So, all of those who live along the Gulf Coast, you are at risk this year because you may not be as fortunate as you were last year because this season could be a complete different story. So I'm just here to tell you guys that this season that is upcoming may not be a season that will be dead and we'll hardly see tropical activity. This will be the complete opposite. Let's hope that it goes well. But as of now, as I'm saying, the signals that are showing is pointing towards